Hi, welcome back to the course. In this tutorial, we'll learn about calculated fields and how to create one in Google Data Studio. Calculated fields is very powerful in Data Studio. It allows us to perform maths calculation, data transformation, and also the logic evaluation. To give you more ideas, here are some of the examples you can do with calculated fields. For example, for a maths category, we can do addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication with the numerics field. And then for data transformation, we can convert a text from small letter to capital letter or vice versa. And then we can extract part of a text, or we can add a prefix to a text. And for the logic part, we can check if a specific condition is being met and return the corresponding value. So for example, imagine if we are developing a student dashboard, we would want to check if a student passed a certain marks, we will want to mark the student as top performer. So without further ado, let's get started with the tutorial. So in this tutorial, I'm going to cover the first two scenarios, which is the mathematics calculation and data transformation. So first of all, we would like to create a scorecard to calculate the revenue after discount. So we basically take price and subtract the discount amount. Once we know the formula, we can proceed to create the field. So to create a field, we'll go to the bottom right at the property panel and click add a field. So here we have an editing window for adding a calculated field. So we have field name here. So I'm going to type in revenue after discount. And then we have a field ID, which we normally won't edit it. For the formula, we can key in our formula, which is the price minus discount amount. So what I can do here is to type in the field name, or I can select the one that's being suggested to me if that's the right one, or I can go to the available fields at the left hand side to just select the price and minus the discount amount. So choose whichever way that you feel comfortable with. Once you have completed the formula, remember to wait until you see the green tick at the bottom. So what's happening is the formula will be checked in real time once you have done it for any issues, and the red warnings will be shown if something is not right. So for example, just for the sake of demonstration, I can add this SKU into the formula and Data Studio will check if this is the correct formula. If it's not, then they will throw me an error down there with an error message. So the reason I bring this up is because if the formula is incorrect, even though you can click finish over here at the top right, the field would not be created and you will lose the formula that you have entered. So watch out on that. Now let's remove this SKU and see if we got the green tick here. So now we see the green tick appearing at the bottom. Then we can click save and finished. So now you should see the new field being created and showing up in the available fields. And when you hover on the revenue after discount, you can see this FX icon at the left hand side, which we don't get at the usual fields. So this is an indicator of this particular column. It's a calculated dimension. So if you click on this FX icon, it will bring you back to the editing window we had earlier. So that's how you can edit the formula again once you have created the calculated field. By the way, if you haven't seen the calculated field after you have created it, you can try to refresh the browser. That works for me most of the time. After creating the calculator field, the next step is actually to verify if the formula is correct or if the formula is working. So this step is also known as data validation. To do that, we can create a table quickly to verify that. So now I'll create a separate page to do that, and then I can quickly add the chart and drag in the revenue after discount along with the transaction ID the price, and also the discount amount. Then I'll add a total at the bottom by adding the option summary row. So here, I will sort by the discount amount because what's showing now doesn't have the discount amount, so I can't really check it. To check it, I'll sort it by the discount amount. And now you can see that if we take 35 minus 8.75, we will get 26.25. So it's correct. And if we take the summary row, which is the total of everything, 2068 minus 93.5, you will get 1974.5. So the calculation is correct. On a side note, in a real working scenario, whenever we find any data discrepancies, we will always check the data from the highest level, for example by year, then look into month. This is to investigate if the discrepancies happen during a specific period or under specific condition. However, usually I will start with the raw data first. If the raw data doesn't match, I will go from the highest to the lowest level to check where is the discrepancies at. So I hope that helps you. Next, we're going to learn how to sum a column vertically using a calculated field. So what we did earlier was using price to minus discount, and we will get revenue after discount. So that's by each row. The next one we're going to do is by vertically summing up a column. So what I'm going to do now similarly is to add a field and key in the field name for the sales revenue. And then in the formula, I'll use the formula sum. And in the bracket, I'll just type in price because that's our revenue. And we will wait for the green tick to appear and click save and finished. Now I have a sales revenue metric that I can just drag it to create a scorecard. So earlier in our previous chart tutorial, I mentioned that other than the drag and drop method, you can use the calculated field to create a metric. So this is how we do it. And the advantage of it is that, let's say if I need this column in this table as well, I can just drag it and put it over here, and it will have the same column name throughout every chart, so we don't have to keep renaming price to sales revenue in that case. This can save us time from doing the labeling repetitively. Last but not least, we will learn how to transform a text in Data Studio using calculated fields. So if we go back to our dashboard, so in our coupon code table here, we actually see that the code Cyber Sale 2021 is being split into two rows. So we have one in the second row and another one in the fifth row. But in fact, they are actually referring to the same promotional campaigns. So this makes it difficult for the users to see which campaign actually performs better. The reason for this to happen is because Data Studio is case sensitive. It is simply not smart enough to detect that these two values refers to the same campaign. So to ensure that the data are being categorized as one single value, we can then standardize the letter case to all capital using the formula upper. So same as our previous steps, we're going to create a field and we're going to name it as promo code cleaned. And for this formula, I'm going to use upper, which will help us to convert all the text to uppercase. In the bracket, we'll key in the coupon code, select the field, and wait for the green tick to appear and click save and finished. So now I have a promo code cleaned in this available fields. Now I'll just drag and drop it and replace the promo code earlier. So now we can see that all the promo code has been capitalized and the Cyber 2021 campaign has been grouped into the same row. That's all for today, and I hope you have learned a lot from this tutorial, and don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel for more content. Bye!